Microsoft has renamed Office to Microsoft 365 Copilot app. Incredible. 400 million users just became AI users overnight. It probably is for that, so they can like pad their AI stats. Hey, did you realize we've onboarded 500 million people into, yeah, stat padding? That's been done for months now. Has it? Because I saw a person open Office recently, and it was called Office. I think it shows how vulnerable they are and worried about their numbers. Again, it fits into the whole financial schemes make more money than anything else thing. Microsoft doesn't want to make money by selling you goods and services. They want to make money by boosting their stock price, by inflating the perceived value of AI, which they have a huge stake in. You know, they don't want to make money by giving you a thing and you give them money. They want to overinflate the bubble they're already riding on. I'm starting to think I'm a one-issue voter. Yeah, productive capital is dead. It really is, man. It really is. It's why basically everything is more expensive now too, you know? There are some things that have gotten less expensive, usually stuff made in factories like TVs or whatever, but for the most part, like you know, a lot of well, I'm oversimplifying a little bit. Services have gotten a lot more expensive. As a general rule, anything made in a factory has gotten cheaper, and anything not made in a factory has gotten much more expensive. Healthcare or anything, you know, with a personal touch or whatever. Not RAM. Yeah, except for graphics cards. Eesh. Imagine renaming Microsoft Office. That is insane. I can't... like you're torpedoing the long-term brand viability of your product and of your business just to like pump a little bit more air into the bubble, you know? Maybe just to pad some stats. The Microsoft CEO begged people to stop calling AI slop. Merriam-Webster chose slop as their word of the year. Super fitting, by the way. Really on the nose choice. Very, very good. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella made it clear he'd prefer we all left that term in 2025. We need to get beyond the arguments of slop versus sophistication, Nadella wrote in a rambling post flagged by Windows Central, arguing that humanity needs to learn to accept AI as the new equilibrium of human nature. As WC points out, there's actually growing evidence that AI harms human cognitive ability. Going on, Nadella said, oh, this reminds me of a little interview snippet where Sam Altman, a guy who recommends that you use AI for everything in your day-to-day life, says that he's an avid note taker and that he goes through like a notebook a month with how many notes that he takes, which is like, that's interesting. So the capital elite want to engage in note-taking, a system that is proven to be cognitively beneficial and good for your long-term memory and thinking skills, but he wants you to remember everything with ChatGPT lists. That's curious. He also said he couldn't raise a child without ChatGPT. Yeah, that's what he said, so that you would raise your kids with ChatGPT. But he was lying. I guarantee you that Sam Altman is not using These people do not get high on their own supply, okay? These people are not like waking up. Sam Altman is not making life decisions based on ChatGPT. He's hoping you will, unless they're Elon. Yes, Elon is stupid enough that he probably is. That is true. But he is not, you know, human elite in any regard besides his bank account, okay? If anything, subsidizing his decision-making with Grok would significantly improve his intelligence. People really got up in arms about this one. Better than Sam Altman raising a child. Does Sam Altman have a kid? Yeah? Okay.
No, I'm a huge note taker.
Oh, tell me about that.
There's all these like fancy notebooks in the world.
Yeah.
You don't want those. You definitely want a spiral notebook because one thing that's important is you can rip pages out frequently. And you also want it to lie like flat and open on the table. And if you like open pages, you want them to like, you know, like be able to lay like this, whatever. You definitely want to be able to like rip pages out. I'm a big believer of like, I take a bunch of notes and then I like...
More microslop, most major Windows 11 features are broken. Yeah, I can't believe it. Like, I might actually get negatively polarized into Linux. It's either going to be Linux or getting a Mac and then like hosting Windows. No, I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to...
Clearly like rip them out so I can look at multiple pages at the same time. And I can like crumple them up and throw them on the floor and I'm done. Like when our house cleaner comes in on like a, you know, whatever, there's just these pile of crumpled papers that I'm like type my notes in or whatever on the floor. You definitely want like a kind of paper that is like good to write on, which is a feel thing, but most paper is terrible to write on.
This is so autism coded. Dog, this Sam Altman is probably a solid 5 IQ points smarter because he does this. Note-taking is really good for you.
You want hard front and back to the notepad. And you also want something that can fit in a pocket.
I was about to say that.
I think the Uniball Micro 0.5 pen is the best pen overall, but the Muji 0.36 or 0.37 in dark blue ink is a
Oh, they're saying it here too. The guy with that heads the best AI company on the planet doesn't use AI to think and advocates pen, paper, and writing. Let that sink in. Let that sink in.
very nice pen for other reasons. So those are the two I would use, but
now we're Pilot G2 fanboys here. You know, I recently went to Glasswing, which is a nice like clothing and horticulture store in downtown Seattle. And well, not downtown, in Cap Hill, Seattle. And they had some nice like Japanese stationery, which everyone loves Japanese stationery, right? Like people love that shit. And they had some nice notebooks. And I was like, okay, these are nice notebooks. I want to test the paper. Can I get a pen? And I was given a pen. The pen was really nice. I was like, how much is the pen? The pen was $300. So I did not get the pen. I did get a cute notebook though, that I have not used once because my desk isn't really set up. It doesn't really like have the room to have a notebook on it. And also my handwriting is really bad, but I'm thinking I might get into, not calligraphy, penmanship. I think I might try to fix my handwriting a little bit. I think that, what the fuck, I don't think Japanese stationery is that expensive. No. It was just a really fancy pen. It was just a really fancy pen. This wasn't $300. This was like $18. But I would like a really nice pen. I have a nice pen, I think. These are gel pens. I've got the classic Pilot G2 here, and this is the Pentel Energel liquid gel ink, you know? G2 is awesome. Yeah, the G2 is classic. I use this like all through high school, you know? I wouldn't mind having one super expensive pen. I don't really know enough about pen. I wouldn't mind if I could spend like $100 on one nice pen and then just refill that for the rest of my life. That'd probably make me happy. But sometimes I pick up a pen, they just don't feel right. You know, I can't just order something online.
I think this kind of notebook and one of those two pens is the right answer.
And how many notes you're writing per day on that thing?
I go through one of these like every 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. So you're taking a lot of...
Well, you can see how much I've ripped out. Like this used to have like 100 pages in it.
So that's how you think about it. So you're going to basically take the notebook and then you rip out the pages.
Pretty
and you
much.
don't have completed notebooks.
I don't have completed notebooks.
Wow. What inspired this? Where does this come from?
Does it count if you have a notes app in your phone? No. The cognitive process of writing something down physically, the inscribing of thought into symbols, the symbols of a letter, puts it in your brain much better than just hitting a button and then the letter appears on the screen. I know this sounds like a boomer slop, like, no, trust me, dude, the super convenient modern method is worse, but studies have actually shown that's true. It's just true, you know? Think of it as an extension of how the best way to learn something is to teach it. Like, the best way to learn a concept is to have to run through the abstraction of codifying your thoughts into speech to another person. That way you're involving more parts of your brain. You're not just trying to like remember information, like you're learning the quadratic formula and you're like do. You're thinking, you're not talking, you're thinking, you put it in here, okay, it's there. Well, what if you forget it, you know? The best way to learn the quadratic formula or anything would be to explain it to somebody else. Now you have to like run it through with someone else. You're using more of your brain, so more of your brain lights up on the monitor or whatever, and it encodes it more thoroughly in your memory. It's like that with writing too, right? You're doing a much better job engaging more parts of your brain. Think of writing as like a compound exercise for your brain. What if we called a place for this a school? Well, we know people aren't really learning in school these days, so. I'm a software engineer, and it's also way better to copy code by literally typing it out instead of Control-C, Control-V. Yeah, I've heard that 100%. Yeah. Otherwise, you get a bit of code right once, and then every time it's useful in the future, you're just like Control-C, Control-V, Control-C, Control-V, 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 Control-V. And then like after a week of doing that, you kind of forget the purpose of the original code. Like you've got it annotated or whatever, you've got the text telling you what it does, but you're like, wait, hold on, which variable does this reference? But if you redo it yourself every time you further encode it in your memory, and you're like, you understand that on a more organic level. It stops being this like one block of info and starts being a comprehensible chain of information. Now, obviously, there are like limits to this, right? If it's a really simple but lengthy block of code, you can just Control-C, Control-V. Like I'm not saying that if it's like, you know, if you're doing the classic programmer task of finding out whether a number is odd or even by if number equal 1 set odd, if number equal 2 set even, if number equal 3 set odd, and then you type that out for infinity, you don't need to type it out a second time when your game calls on that code a second time, right? Like you can copy and paste the infinite scroll if you want to. Yes. Try a Sarasa Clip or a Sarasa Grand, very cheap relative, but a lot better than many more expensive pens. You know what? I'll open those in a different tab.
Trial and error, many kinds of notebooks, many pens, many different systems. This one's really good.
Another thing I've been thinking about when it comes to the influence of AGI on creative mediums is just the competence with the written word is going up so much. And here's what I mean. There's now, with Sora, you can create videos using text as the input.
Yeah.
You can do that with music. You can do that with images. And that's a big change in terms of the influence of writing on our world.
Again, for me, like
that is happening the opposite of the effect. It's like the interviewer realized that what they were doing here was kind of undercutting the value of AI. Like they're basically talking about how much better it is for you to do things the old-fashioned way. And then he was like, so as we were saying, yeah, artificial general intelligence, the thing that definitely exists, really is improving our literacy, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say that's demonstrated by the fact that you don't use it?
writing is a tool for thinking, most importantly.
Oh my
and
God.
I don't think that's going anywhere.
He didn't take the bait. He's still...
And so I think it's really important that people still learn to write for this reason, in the same way that even if there's going to be less traditional coding jobs, coding is a great way to learn to think too.
Mm-hmm.
So you should still learn to code.
So when you say it's important that people learn to write, what does that mean?
What it means to me is that I've figured out this.
Don't use ChatGPT. There's actually a mild crisis happening right now in the goddamn, just in computer science in general, in every field that pulls on it, because for one, there are a lot of people who they're having a hard time finding experienced coders because they're replacing novice coders with AI, people doing grunt work. But if there's nobody around to learn the grunt work, there's nobody with enough skill to promote themselves up to the more competent work. If you're handing out the grunt work to AI, who's learning the grunt work so they can do better than grunt work? And also, a lot of people, everyone's self-taught now. Self-teaching on how to code is not necessarily that good, for the same reason that writing lots and lots of fan fiction doesn't necessarily make you a good author. Practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. You still have to have a good guideline. You need structure. God, how many people out there have spent how many hundreds of hours on Duolingo and still could not hold a basic conversation? If you live in a foreign country for 3 months, I bet you would have an easier time speaking that language than you could 3 years on Duolingo, even if you practiced every day. Duolingo is not designed to help you learn the language well. It's designed to make you feel like you're learning the language well. It's satisfying.
Tool to think more clearly. Now, if there's a better way to think more clearly with AI, great, I would switch to that. I've definitely not found that yet.
When you're sitting down to write and you're thinking about creating a focus state, what is it that you're doing in your process to really create that?
I used to think I got to get in the perfect place and I got to set a time that I'm going to go to this coffee shop and put on my noise canceling headphones and I'm going to be in writing mode. And now I will take any 11 minutes uninterrupted that I can get, sitting in the back of a car, laying in bed, whatever it is. I mean, if I do have
okay, that's great. I don't care anymore.